Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to be joining Abdullah in a deep dive in Genie. We're wearing Databricks t-shirts today. Been trying to push the limits actually of Genie for quite a while. So this video we're going to be jumping slightly deeper into how to use it, what would be like a use case that would actually make value for businesses, and we'll be able to integrate it with some other tools that Databricks has. So feel free to skip to the parts you want. Abdullah is here as well to ask questions. He hasn't seen this before, so he's also going to be his first time. But yeah, hopefully this is going to be of benefit and help for you guys. So excited, and thank you for joining us for this talk today. Yeah, well, I'm going to be playing with some sample data. I'm going to be building it live, so you'll watch it live as well, and see what kind of issues we're going to be facing, what kind of hiccups, if there's anything. And then feel free to stop me, ask me any questions. All right, let me jump in and share my screen. Okay. So first off, like Genie Spaces are basically what the Databricks advertised as an AI BI offering, which is technically business intelligence with an AI twist. So business intelligence back in the day, they exist of a couple of dashboards that people can basically look at, things like this, I guess. However, like recently, I think Databricks wanted to show is more that chat ability where you can actually chat with your dashboard. So what Genie Spaces under the hood do technically is that you connect them to the data sources, and then you can basically chat with that data source. Think about the data sources. It could be things like sales transactions. They could be um, uh, any tabular data that you have that you, instead of like writing queries about it and then asking your analyst, be like, hey, can you extract this type of information, can you show me what was the sales and then ask a quarter and so on. You can ask Genie to that basically for you. So what I'm gonna be going over to you is a sample data that called Bakehouse. This was provided by Databricks. It's nothing crazy over the top. It's just a bunch of tables that you can get from one of the demos that provided by Databricks, and it consists of like a couple of tables. The more mainly they are like consist of two different things. One that is called media customer reviews, which basically has a bunch of reviews on the customer's data. And when we click on sample data, you'll be able to see how that data looks like. It's a bunch of reviews, a bunch of like franchise IDs, which franchise this relates to, a time frame, and then an ID. You can also see this thing right here. So this is technically is provided by Genie, and this is what we're going to be looking at today. And it's you can see here it's under preview. Technically, you can see like what is the average rating by franchise ID. This is just a quick question, right? So and the assistant will basically look at for you and then say like, yeah, this is the average rating, this is a franchise ID, you need that column, whatever, etc., etc., and then you need that information and then run query or open an editor, which I don't have access to right now. But however, this is just an example where how you can get. Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
a question here. So basically, you wouldn't have this widget at the top if you didn't create a Genie Space before?
No,
Or
this is yeah, this is provided by Databricks, but it's under preview now. It's not related to Genie anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay, makes
Yeah,
sense.
this is just like a bunch of, I think, one new updates that came up that you can pretty much apply a Genie like experience within Unity Catalog or within your projects. But I think you have to have Genie or like it's not called Genie. In the settings, it's something called AI
AI
enabled, something like
yeah,
that. Yeah. So when you do
makes
that, I
sense.
think you get like these previews on these
With
kind of features.
features. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
But what technically these are like the type of questions you can pretty much get from Genie. What kind of reviews we have? What kind of what's the average rating for franchise IDs? If you have that information here, and so on and so forth. So this is what you could find.
But it's funny that it tells you, given the current information, I cannot compute the average rating. The
because
last
there's
page.
no rating. So if you look at the
Oh,
data
okay.
here, there's no rating. It's just
Okay.
reviews, franchise, and so on and so forth. But it
Okay.
was
Okay. Okay.
suggesting that question. So you could say, okay, what is the number of reviews per franchise ID? Let's see. All right, see, it actually was able to pull this up because it has the franchise IDs, it has the number of reviews, so we can do it. It pulls up the SQL query. You can just run query, for example, and then it will pretty much show you a breakdown of that technically. And that's
Okay.
you're still on in Unity catalog. Go anywhere.
So
So that's basically what Gene is gonna look like. But let's
okay.
take it to like a bigger step where you can, well, technically now you can open it in dashboard, open it in Genie, these type of stuff, which will give you that access. However, we want to do something slightly more complicated. In the same data set, you'll find like gold reviews chunked, which is, I believe it's the same thing. If you read here, you'll find they're just like chunked reviews from the previous table, and I believe these are AI generated anyways. So when you take a look at it, the sample data, it is going to look the same. However, it's probably just more organized way, and like it added like that chunk ID and added review URLs because they're put like somewhere in S3 buckets. And I believe this is for later if you want to put it like in a vector store. These have to be chunked in a certain size so they can fit into like LLMs, for example. So
Okay.
yeah,
So basically, chunked is just so we have like a limit on the size of the text of the review.
yeah. Basically,
Okay.
that's the reason why you chunk your data before you put it in a vector store.
Okay.
Sometimes like vector stores embedding models that don't have the capability to look at chunk sizes that are big, but some have the ability. But yeah, if you take a look at these, they're the same. A different sort of data here. We have customers, we have franchises, suppliers, and transactions. Let's take a quick look. Customers, as you could expect, your customer IDs, name, first name, email address, phone address, whatever. This is all synthetic data, of course, it's not real. However, it will mimic, like, for example, what real data would look like. So you have customers data, you have franchises, which is an important thing because we're looking at like a bakery franchise here. So you will have like multiple franchises, and as you saw, like in the customer reviews, you have the franchise ID as well. So the reviews are tied to specific franchises, not to the whole bakery store. And jumping into like the sample data, you'll have the franchise ID, who's going to take the franchise. You'll see some Canadian stuff, some Canadian
Okay.
addresses here, which is pretty cool. Sizes, and then maybe like some data here, like geographical data, and also it ties it up to like a supplier ID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then Go suppliers, same thing. Every bakery has a supplier. This is data that we have some supplies information. Very standard, very similar. Supply ID, name, ingredients. So cocoa powder, coconut, almonds, coffee. What exactly you're getting from them. So you can basically track down. Let's say if you have like a bad review. Think about it from that perspective.
Wow. Okay. I see.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. The last, I think it's a very important data set as well, is the transactions. So here, because you are like the the owner of the business, you can check what kind of transaction happened at what franchise. So here you can say, all right, give me like the best transactions that happened last month, or like the highest transactions from prices, products. You can drill down by product. You can drill down by like prices. You can drill down by like what kind of payment, etc., and some payment information as well here. Let's try, for example, which product has the highest total sales. If it's gonna produce the right query, so you'll see here: select product, sum total price, total sale. From price, you're grouping by the product, and then you're ordering and limiting by one. So this is technically you're getting the limit one from that price on that sale transactions, and then it's the Golden Gate Ginger, and then this is the total sales. This is how much it made the past. I don't know how long this goes back, but This is like a very quick how the transactions work.
So basically, if I understand, one if for reviews, the other one is the same but chunked. The other three are dimensions, and the last one is actually another fact table. So
Yep.
first and second are fact tables. The three tables, customer franchises and suppliers, are dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And SaaS transactions is actually another. It's transactions. Maybe you can consider it as facts, but it's the granularity is at the transaction level. So it's a fact table actually.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, the difference again here, it's basically that chunk ID. You'll only see that only there's only one, basically that has that, and then the size. Look at it, like 23 kilobytes. That has to be very close, or at 44, because it's gonna be like multiply chunked in multiple different chunks. Yeah, we'll take a look at this maybe probably later when we build like an agent.
Okay.
So this will be like very beneficial. Now I don't think we need it, but just for the sake of
Perfect.
simplicity, yeah, we can do that. I did actually create a Genie Space here, but probably I can just go with the I can recreate another one now. I don't know if I can delete this. Can I delete it actually? Let's see. Yeah, I can do move it to trash. All right. All right. So to create a new Genie Space, we just go to the Genie on the left hand side here. Then we click on new, and then here it's gonna ask you about like the data sources that you have. And I think you can connect more recently, of course, like with metric views. You can also include that in your data. However, for the sake of simplicity, we wanna pick the data that we were just talking about here, the sample
Okay.
data, and then we just click on create. This is the simplest way of creating a Genie Space, and then that's it. You have a Genie Space now. And of course, you can rename it. You can talk about it. It's like, okay, now we have the Bake House Genie Space. Let's call it that. And then we can look at the data here, and then pretty much do our magic. You'll see like a lot of important features that Databricks has included recently in Genie, which technically is gonna save you a lot of time to explain to what Genie is gonna do. And I probably would start with this. So now we have the data collected, right?
I have a question before.
Go ahead.
You have the data, but how come did it initiate these questions, for example? Does it have some sort of metadata that your tables need to have, for example? Like comments on your columns?
Yeah, that's a very important question that I actually forgot to mention. Let's go back. So, in order to understand or in order to know what kind of data we're looking with, it works best if you have comments on your columns and your data, because this is what the information is gonna make Genie actually understand that this is the transaction, and this is the
Unit price, quantity.
basic, and the descriptions, of course, of everything.
So basically, what I want to know is how come Genie asks these questions, for example, which are very data specific. Is there any metadata related to your tables, or maybe the comment section or the description?
Yeah, I'll show you what exactly to play with those and change them. But technically, here it's gonna take what do we have from the tables, any metadata you have from like table descriptions, comments, and so on and so forth, in order to generate these questions. However, when Unity Catalog have access to these tables, it samples the data and actually takes a look at each of the columns, so it understands what kind of data and what kind of column this is, and this is where it comes from. Come with like these type of questions and these type of questions in here. What else? I think also like on in the Genie Space here, which I'm gonna go like in a couple of seconds. You'll be able to modify these type of comments and augment them and add them as well. So now here, if you take a look at the first tab here in data, you have your customer views chunked. Maybe we don't need this now. Let's delete it. We have the transaction suppliers franchises, and we want to add the customers. I believe we didn't add that.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are like the data sources that we have. However, in order to like make sure that we have like our best data sources here, you can actually access the descriptions, change it, augment it, put comments, and so on and so forth. You can add descriptions to the columns, and this is not going to affect the data. So if you change the descriptions here, if you change whatever, it's not going to change anything in the Unity catalog data.
Okay.
So this is
So,
actually good for you and for the data source.
so you can create one Genie Space per business unit, and usually they would have the same meaning in the columns, etc. But if they want to add more details, they don't have to bring it to the table level. They can do it in their Genie Space level.
Exactly. You can think of it as like a data copy or shallow copy of the data, where
Mhm.
you can pretty much like augment and change the metadata sources here.
Perfect.
So changing the descriptions here, yeah, we don't need all this, right? Like we just say
Mhm.
simply customer reviews data. That's all we need, right? So
Yes.
and you can see here any that's applied to this Genie space, not in Unity catalog. So this is only in the Genie space. It's not going to affect the table in Unity catalog. And the reason why you're saying this is because I can actually remove and hide columns. So for example, of the new
Oh,
ID, it's if I don't care about this, then I don't need the ID for the review, right? Why would I need this information? Maybe it doesn't give me anything for that specific Genie space. So you can maybe you can hide it, show it, so on and so forth. You can refresh sample values. That's I'm gonna go like in a bit. So for data that has specific types, let's say like timestamped, in order to tell Genie what kind of data this is, you can refresh sample values. This is going to say like example values, for example, here. It's going to add example values of like what kind of data this is. Is it textual? Is it like number? Is it, and so on and so forth. And you can edit that data and say descriptions and explain what kind of description this is. And then you can say things like review date, right? Sometimes you can add synonyms. So if for example, if somebody asks about date, time, review date, review time, review instant, something like that, you can add these keywords. So Genie Space can actually match it better with the user prompt for this specific column. As you said here, this is the example values we clicked. So it's going to show like what example values. And this is only going to make Genie will understand how to use that column. Could it be like in limits? Could it be like in between? How to construct that SQL statement based on it. So for each column, you can add descriptions, add synonyms, example values to make it, pretty much quicker and optimized, I think. You can also add a value dictionary. So, sometimes, let's say if you have like in one space, let's say if you have a specific column that has, like a certain amount of
categories, I think.
values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Categories, for
So
example, that are mapped.
yeah, something like that. But I'm thinking more of an optimization area where, let's say, um, if like a certain value that can take only 5 different values, could be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So instead of going and letting Genie, explore this and then be like, no, this value, this dictionary will contain the only values possible for this type of column. So
Oh, okay.
when the sequel comes, it's gonna know this column has only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not going to go 6 plus, right? So it's going to optimize the SQL accordingly. So these are like some of the techniques. If you know more about your data, if you can provide more information and description, more synonyms. So that's going to, optimize the data a bit more. Yeah. So we fixed this franchise ID. I think we don't need this right now. I think we probably would need it later. Review, yes, we're probably when I say review column, review text from
By the customer.
customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, from customers. Any synonyms that comes in mind. So it could be review. We have review anyways.
Comments.
Comments, feedback, something like that, right?
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So this table is good now. All right, you can do the same thing with the other tables, like with having this, transactions. Let's fix this. Let's make it sales transactions
By customers.
for all franchises. Yeah. And so on and so forth. So this will help, us understanding, or like pretty much like the data. This will help Genie understand the value of these columns, the value of these tables, and pretty much like if you don't need any of this information. For example, let's talk about this. Do we need the card number?
Okay.
No, let's hide it. Do we need the method payment, which is like Visa, MasterCard? Maybe, let's keep it. Total price, yes, we need it. Unit price, quality, product, date time, franchise ID, yes, we need it. Customer ID and transaction ID, maybe we don't need transaction ID, but let's keep it for maybe like summarization on and so on and so forth. So this is for
Yeah.
sales.
So for example, if you had like PI data for customers, you can hide it here.
You can also hide it and remove it. You move all that column from the data. Same thing here. Let's do sales, suppliers. We need continent.
Continent.
Probably we don't need like half of this. Approved, not approved. Maybe longitude. We know we don't need this data here. Size. It's I think it's medium, large, small. So also maybe we don't need it. Well, yeah. Let's keep it just for the sake of keeping it, I guess. District, city, continent, ingredient. Yes, we need this. The name of the supplier, supplier ID. These are important information. Franchises, customers, pretty much the same thing, right? So I want to make sure that we remove this so it's not going to confuse. Uh, yeah, sizes, table, yeah, or information, right? Anything that we don't need, longitude, latitude is it's gonna produce a lot of data. Supplier ID, we'll keep it, same thing. Zip code is all that information is there. All right. Customers, which is the last one. Customer information. Same thing. Name, maybe we want to hide the names and last
You
names.
know,
Yeah, we want to hide the
could
email
be
addresses, as you said.
their
We want
address
to
also.
phone number, address, city, state, country. Maybe we want to keep just for like
Yeah.
the sake of, continent, sure. Postal zip code, we don't need. Or maybe we keep later for analytics. Gender, maybe we want to do some analytics later. However, this is like the information we can talk about. All good so far?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay.
Um,
So
one
we
last.
lined up the data now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. So just as a so to understand the service itself, it's basically LLMs on top of your data, if I can understand, that generates SQL to answer your questions, right? And
Base.
you add, it's like the RAG. Is it a RAG? Like if we
No,
know
this
it.
is not RAG. No, this is
Okay.
not RAG at all. This is. I'll show you what it does technically now. Like what
Okay.
what it will do. Yeah, once we like ask questions here and this side here, you'll see it exactly what it does under the hood. Which technically the same what we've seen here. You ask a question, it's gonna generate SQL from the understanding of the data, and then it's gonna give you the option to run the SQL, and then you run the SQL and you get the output. So it's not RAG. RAG is unstructured. This is very structured data. So it's going to produce the
Oh,
output
okay.
of SQL and give you the answer according to its
Perfect.
understanding. Okay,
Let's
all good
go
so
through
far?
the, yep. Let's go
Okay.
through the other tabs. And I see benchmarks and monitoring. So
Yeah,
I want to see
these
those too.
this is I think like the most important piece in Genie. And if you get this wrong, trust me, your Genie places will not work. So you
So,
need to get this very very strategically put. So this tab will have a few options, and this is, I guess, where you will spend most of your time in Genie Spaces. The data you
okay.
can do it once, but however, the instructions is basically you think about it from a prompt engineering kind of way. This is where you want to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, explaining to Genie what is your data, what its purpose, what is the purpose of that Genie Space, what does it do, and so on. So this will help Genie how to behave, and then you can put examples. You see some examples here of how things can be provided. But technically, here let's talk about like things you explain to a new analyst that is joining a company. Like
Nice.
imagine you have a new intern, right? Like if you have a new intern, if you have a new employee, right? You explain them things like, all right, our financial year doesn't start from January. Maybe our financial year starts from April, right?
March, for
So
example.
these
Yeah.
type of information you need to explain to Genie. So when you ask it questions about like, what is my Q1 evaluation? What is my Q1 sales like? It's not going to go from the beginning of the year. It's going to go from the date you instructed it. So you put that information here, things that your data doesn't say. So your data, you have sales, you have customers, you have franchises, and so on and so forth. Now let's build something like I want to track sales, right? So you explain things like you are or maybe this also goes in the description of the whole Genie space, but also in the instructions because again, this is an LLM at the behind. So you can explain things like you are an assistant that's going to help with big house sales. You have access to tables like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then these tables will contain this type of information. General instructions. If I say things like abbreviations, as you can see the first example, so MCA, my company abbreviation, that's an example, right? If you say like I want RR, so it'd be like return revenue, it could be like return customers, CTR, click through rate. So when you explain these type of abbreviations that people will actually use when they ask questions, you can actually embed them in these type of instructions. Country codes like US, IT, could be like also states, explaining if CA, does it mean Canada or does it mean California? So on and so forth, right? Like so explaining this tiny little stuff that it might get confused on when it's producing an answer is very important.
So
Yeah.
basically, you can take a part of your company documentation and put it here. But thinking of this, is there a size limit to this? Usually there would be because of its LLMs at the end. But did you hit a size limit anytime?
I think we did. We did when we were. I think we abused this once. We used like different techniques. Uh, we got it to fail actually. However, I learned this the hard way. Keep this very specific. Keep it extremely concise. Explain it
Okay.
as if you're explaining to like a very
New
very
intern.
mature human being. Yes, a very
Yeah.
like a new intern or someone. Like sales cycles, abbreviations, as if you're keeping notes. It's as if you're chatting with your, notepad or something like this. You need very like tiny little titles or fragments. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a sentence, just to explain information in a very small shot that's going to help it to understand the context. So this is they call it contextual engineering, not only
Yes.
prompt engineering. So prompt
Yes.
engineering, you just like put a prompt and all that stuff. Context, when you provide more context, more data, and so on and so forth.
But from my understanding is you put the context here that is business related to your use case and it's iterative. You try with few shots, few text that explains whatever you are doing. Then once we're gonna ask, for example, questions, we're gonna find that it doesn't understand. For example, the rating columns for parental guidance.
Mhm.
If in our side the reviews were understood in another way, we can add it here. So it's iterative as you use Genie Space, I guess.
I agree. I agree. But there's so many tricks that you can actually get a lot of data in Genie, and I'll show you some.
Okay.
If we get the time by the end of the recording, I'll show you how to actually integrate the AI query into Genie, which will make you understand things like understand things like semantic analysis. So, is the customer angry? Is the customer happy? Extract some sort of information like what is the rating from 1 out of 5.
Okay.
We don't have this data. If you go back to the data and see,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
we
yeah.
have it? We don't have it. We don't have the rating
Just
from one to
text.
five. No, it's only text. And then using things like the AI query on Databricks, you can actually ask Genie every time it actually generates a SQL. on that specific column or on that specific table to generate like the column that is understanding, the rating for it. And I'll show you what I'm talking
Okay,
about in a
okay,
bit,
okay,
I
okay.
guess. I think we need to set it up, but like it's not going to take long. But
Okay, perfect.
technically, you can just select this, run it on an LLM and instruct it. Say like, give me a rating from 1 out of 5. I only want an output, nothing else. For example, this rating 5 out of 5, something like that.
So
And
basically,
then
Genie Space would use the AI query to give you ratings from your reviews. And for it to do that, you give it an example in the text, and the example would be using AI queries. So Genie in the queries that it's gonna build from now on. It's gonna build AI queries. Yeah.
exactly. But
Perfect.
this is a bit advanced. But like let's
Perfect.
start from the beginning. So here
Yes.
you can
Let's do
say
it.
you are a text to SQL assistant to help the employees of Big House. Say back, okay,
Yes.
right. So of Big House,
Again,
where
back.
they say back again, right?
You're gonna
All
confuse
the
the LLMs with this one.
yeah questions. Then you say like you have access to review data or customer review data, customer information, supplies, franchises. What else? So we have customer data, franchises, supplies. I don't want to go back. Customer franchise supplies and transactions and sales transactions and all sales transactions. All right. So general instructions. I like to start always like with a very like big system prompt, as we call it, and then be like instructions. And this is where you can get very, very creative. You can say Q1 starts in January. Why am I yelling in the instruction? Starts in January. Um, and all quarters follow accordingly. Any instructions you want to give?
uh, can we look into the data, just data samples?
Yeah. So
One for the reviews, we can say reviews are text-based, for example.
we don't need, because the
Don't?
Genie
Okay.
will know that. Yeah, Genie will know that. Let me save this. Because the data here, when it takes a look at the data, it knows that this is actually a string data.
String, yeah.
You don't need it. When once you provide like some information here, it doesn't really matter.
Perfect.
Let's stay with this now for now. Like we probably will exchange later. I want to go to the next one. The next one is extremely important. It's joins, and this is where you can improve the quality of this by specifying relationships between tables. And we know we already have some
Yes, for
relationships.
sure.
So we can go for things like, all right, customer reviews. Let's take a look at customer reviews here. So customer reviews will have
Go into
a
the,
review and a franchise ID,
yeah, okay.
right? So we can map this basically to the franchise ID. So we know which franchise is it, and so on and so forth. So we could go back here, say, all right, the left table is going to be media reviews. The right table could be franchises. The condition will be franchise ID equals franchise ID. And then many to one, yes, many to one, because we can have many reviews to one franchise. Instructions want to use this when you want to aggregate reviews for specific franchises. This is a sample use case, right? And then you can also do it on SQL, so you don't have to do it on
Oh,
clicks.
okay.
But also you can
Nice.
switch to SQL expression. You can do it like pretty much the same way anyone would do it. Let's click save. So this is the first one. We know also like there's so many others, right? We know, for example, with customers,
Transaction also.
we have transactions, we have
Reviews.
customers. No, nothing on customer. So left, we can go franchises, can connect to suppliers, right? So we can do left franchise suppliers, and then transactions will go back to literally everyone.
Yes.
Suppliers, does it connect to anything? No. Let's do this at first. So yeah, this is probably one-to-one or one-to-many, I guess, as well. So franchise and supplier. See things like supplier ID will equal to supply ID.
I think it's gonna be many to one, many to one, many
Could be many-to-many
franchises.
though. Could be many-to-many as well,
Oh
because
yeah.
yeah, it's because many franchises, you can have multiple suppliers, and suppliers will go to many of them as well. So you can
Okay.
have X, right? Or maybe like only one. No, like the single franchise will have a single supply.
Depends on
But
the data. This is like a data specific thing, but I
no, I
believe
think it's one-to-many. So
not too
because
many because
one franchise will have one supplier ID, because we're matching on this ID,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Uh, when to use it when trying to match suppliers with franchises. I know I'm butchering spelling here every time, but anyways. All right, the most important one, in my opinion, is gonna be the transactions.
Transactions with customers.
Yes, because it has a customer ID, it has a franchise ID. I don't think it has anything else, right? So we can match it back to customer and franchise. All right, let's go back again here.
It would have been better if you can add. I don't know if it's a good idea. Like one table, then you add all the other tables because fact tables usually they have all they are the table with all the relationships stored in them.
Yeah.
Or if you can use the join here and have a JSON. But by the way, in Genie can we for example, can this be created from Afra as code? Like Terraform? Is there a Terraform provide like in Databricks?
I don't think so. I don't think currently it has the infras code.
Support.
Yeah, support not yet.
Okay. Is there like APIs to create Genie Space?
Also no.
Because
Currently, it's the
okay,
only way you can do it is through the
clicks.
way we've done it. Clicks. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. All right. The last one I want to check is that if there is anything in customer reviews that has a customer ID. I don't think we have that, right? No, it's
Okay.
anonymized. Okay. Because if that would be, it would be also, nice to know. But this is like anonymized, I guess.
I don't know what the new ID is for, but
It's probably like just an ID of like
it's for the table itself.
the table. Yeah.
Okay.
So now like you see, like we have provided like joins on like what how tables are interacting with each other. We cut the data on the table on the columns we don't need, and so on and so forth. So
Let's
the next two
see.
tabs, yeah,
Yeah.
the next two tabs are like slightly they need a lot of work, but I don't think we can provide that much here. But they're just like good to explain, I guess. So common expressions here, we could provide things like how these can be used. Like for example, how would you use a filter? So a new
Okay.
example filter, let's say. How would you use it? What kind of situation you would use that expression? What kind of like for example, if I want to use a state, then this is the best way to use it. If you want to filter on franchise, this is the best way if I use it. If I want to use filter on like a specific product, this is the best way I would filter dates, etc., so on and so forth. So this is also explains. No, explains. This gives like an idea to Genie when to use filters and how to use them. So Not only filters, you have measures and dimensions as well. So can explain things like truncating. I think the example here is truncating dates. So
Okay.
that also like can help, let's say, to calculate a new value from a row. If you have like date column and
Dates and
at time, you want to truncate something,
you
so
have
on and
dates
so forth.
and you wanna ask questions, for example, for months.
Yeah.
So it had to do some truncation before.
Yeah, so there's always like ways of how to how to use these stuff, and then of course you add synonyms, when to use them, when to ask for them, and more instructions on when to use it. So this is going to help Genie provide all of these stuff, also measures as well, like things like what is the total price of something. This is
Yeah.
pre-calculations that we have. But I think we have it already calculated in our end, so we don't need any of that stuff. However, they're very important things in explaining businesses, explaining concepts to Genie Spaces to put this stuff here. The fourth, and I think one of the most important ones, is examples of queries and functions. So here you can provide any similar queries that run in the past and questions you actually run into them. So, for example, let's say things like here, what ingredients are provided by suppliers and sales suppliers tables, something like this. And then if you have already that query ready, then that's going to provide Genie with an example. If a similar question got answered, you can actually use that as an example, and you can put it here to provide more context when a second question gets answered. So
Is
adding, yeah.
is there is here where you add the AI query thing?
This is one way of doing it. We can
Okay.
put it here as an example query, and also we can provide either as a function and also as an instruction. So we can
Okay.
put it here. So whenever you get asked about a ranking or something, or like a review from out of 5, use AI query and give it an example. But as you
Okay.
said, this is where we can actually provide an example, saying, give me an output of this, or give me like the average of reviews in the last week, something like that. You can provide that query here, and maybe this is the right time to actually switch and do it. Do you want to give that a try?
Yes, let's actually
Yeah.
let's try to build the AI query thing, and we can add it, for example, in the function tab.
Okay.
Yes.
What I like to do is always like go to SQL editor and then try to work on it from here,
Draft
because
something first, then.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
make
Makes
make sure
sense.
it actually works. So we have our SQL editor. Let's do this, for example. Select uh, star from, just making sure things are working. We put a limit 1, for example, here. Then we just run it on our own SQL database. And we have this date. Okay. This is an example of
Okay.
it. What I want to do is run AI query. And AI query select, let's do AI query. The way I actually used it was actually using the assistant, which is pretty cool. We can try that and then say, um, use AI query to extract the rating of a review from 5. Let's see. It did it. So it says select
Nice.
review and then select AI query using this model. And then it says it gave it an instruction saying extract rating from this review from scale 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. Only return the number and then take the review.
It
So
concatenated the review and gives this to AI query. Nice.
yeah, let's accept it. And let's try to run it, for example. It gave me
Okay.
a 5 out of 5.
Can we
So
see the review?
you can second review? Yeah. So Bakehouse in this has surely captured my heart, exquisite cookie selection, so on and so forth. Oatmeal is perfect, balance of oats, orchids, whatever, delightful, so on and so forth. Although I did not try the pies, I've heard great things. So it's all positive, positive, positive,
Yes.
right? So this is one way of getting a pretty good output from the AI query on this. What we could do is that we can just take this and say we copy it, we go back our Genie Space and say paste, and then that's it. And then be like, we can technically give it this as a question and say extract the rating, or you know what, anyways, we took this and say select review, and this we could say, all right, extract the rating from the top review, from the last review, from scale 1 to 5, where 5 is best, and only return the number.
If you say last review, then
This is why
you
like
should.
it says limit 1, right?
Yeah, but you have to do order by date or something, because if you,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just gonna throw limit 1.
yeah.
I don't
Uh,
think it's gonna do it, but to be more precise,
yeah, I think you're right. Let's do that. Order by review
if you
date.
did, nice.
Okay. Let's actually test it. So make sure it actually works.
By default, order by is descending. Yeah, should be. But let's make sure it's desk. Perfect. So the last review is actually 4.
Yeah. It says sweet tooth, Sixth Street, obsessed with this, chewy, crunchy, whatever. However,
Oh,
Chris's were
okay.
let down. So four
That's why it's
overall.
a -1.
Yeah, it's not too
Makes
bad.
sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And just like it's this giving this away to for it to understand how the reviews are like. We can put this as a function, for example, in Unity catalog, and then pretty much like pass it to Genie.
Oh, okay.
You get what I mean?
Nice.
This is also possible. However, we don't need it, right? Like it's this is an example of it. But you said review date. Let's actually look at the review date. One. Yeah,
But
because
this
we
is
didn't order by. Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah. But in the other board, it's only a sample. So even if you order by the button, it's not gonna show you exactly the same review.
You know what? I just want to keep it simple for now. Let's say from one review.
Yeah. Nice.
Just want to keep it simple now, for the sake of simplicity. From one
Perfect.
review on scale 1 to 5, just to give it like guidance on how to use it. We click on save. Before save, of course, we have ways of doing parameters. It could be like date, for example. You can. I'll give you an example. So if you want to say, as you said, like where date, I'm not gonna put it, but just saying where date is greater than X. So you can add that as a parameter, and the
Oh,
param
okay.
basically will just take the date later, so it can basically do it in a programmatic way. Use guidance, very similar as well. When to use it, optional details on when, how to, the example is relevant. Use whenever you are asked to,
Quantify the review, for
yeah,
example.
produce a rating out of the text review. Something like that. Using AI query. Just a sample of something that's gonna make it possible. So now when we ask this question again here, it should give us the exact same SQL, and that's going to help it, produce the samples correctly. All right. So so far this is good.
Yes, let's ask a question about the review, maybe
Okay.
the average review uh, of some franchisee that we know. Let's look at the data, for example.
Okay. Let's go to franchises. Let's pick maybe this guy.
Something in Canada, maybe.
I mean, these are often synthetic, but we want to make sure they have reviews, right? So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So you want to make sure they have maybe this guy, 3001. Or if we want to make it harder, we
Okay,
can ask
with
about
the
the name of the can
customer.
ask about the name. So 3001. Let's go to 3000. Oh, sorry, not transactions, franchisees. So this guy,
Okay, Tokyo
Tokyo
Treats.
Treats, right?
Yes, let's do
So
it.
let's do this for Tokyo Treats. I'm just gonna give it the ID just to help it. It's out of 5 for franchise.
For the franchisee. For the franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I might struggle a little bit, but we can always help it and then provide the right answers. So finding the right data, it's going to start by, it's an agent anyways. So it's going to start by planning. It's going to start by looking at the data. It found reviews and sales. And then you're looking at this from 1 to 5. And then it was able to provide 2.9. We want to take a look at the code. So what it did,
Nice.
so it produced actually like window functions. One to cast, so the cast worked here to cast the reviews from the reviews. We want to join it with the franchise and then make sure the franchise equals the franchise, the customer review franchise ID, where the franchise ID is equals to 2001 and the name is Tokyo Treats. Where we want to average out their average rating for their ratings, and then we call it an extracted rating, and this gave us 2.9.
But
So
it's funny how this worked when ours in the SQL didn't work because of the deterministic issue.
I think because there's like a checks on the compiler,
Okay.
on the compiler with
Nice.
the
I
editor.
get it.
Here that doesn't check, because even if there's something wrong with the SQL, it will implement it and it'll give you an error. So it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Good to know.
The good thing about it is that you can give it feedback. So you can say, this is correct, or maybe fix it, or maybe request review, and it goes back to the monitoring piece we were talking about. For now, if you want to say like, okay, fix it, I don't like it. The values are off. Maybe some columns are missing. Genie made up some definitions, and then you can explain how you want it, submit it, and that's going to run the SQL again, produce SQL some more time, and then provide some answers to do that. How does this sound so far?
Sounds good, but how can you check if the answers? Because I see the benchmarks on the top. So how can you? What does it do, and what is monitoring?
Yeah. We'll go through this in a bit. So once, let's say this is good, we'll give it the feedback, yes, and then we can save this as a benchmark. So this came actually perfect. We can add this as a benchmark, and you can see here it says learning, and it's going to extract new information from this response, review it, so we can actually review it and make sure it's actually correct. And it says here,
Oh,
all right, now I have a dimension.
nice.
We call this a dimension, and we can accept it. And this is the dimension called rating reviews out of 5. And then every time you say rating reviews out of 5, it's gonna take it, and we
Nice.
accept it. So now it's actually if you go back to the expressions, you find it as a dimension here.
This is another way to add it, as you said before.
Exactly.
And the other one would
Exactly.
be through the text. Okay.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
We can save it as a benchmark later because now we said that this is actually pretty good. So we can give this as a ground truth. If this is good to give like the average rating for this specific, franchise, we can add this as a benchmark. So when later we play with Genie and do that stuff, it will actually check if that SQL
Okay.
is produced is actually correct. So
Okay.
this is one way of giving it like ground truth. So let's add it as a benchmark for now. I'll show you
This
how to apply this later.
Just a question. So this makes Genie not like if I want to understand Genie more, Genie is for generating SQL, not the answers. It generates the SQL, then the SQL gets run, and from the SQL get the answers. Because the
Exactly.
benchmark here is against the SQL, not the answer. Which makes
Exactly.
sense,
So
yeah. Which makes sense because
Genie
the
is a
data could
text.
change.
It's a text to SQL, right? So it's text to
Okay.
SQL. It's not anything else. So
Oh, okay,
now,
nice.
if you go to benchmark, this is the question, this is the ground truth. And then we can run the benchmark and to make sure that Genie actually is doing good. So it's going to generate SQL and then it's going to generate, check the SQL that you give it as a ground truth. And it would say, compare them and say, okay, this looks good and this doesn't look good. So this is where it actually can be assessed and can be optimized for assessing how good the generated output looks like.
Okay, so basically you are checking if do you do this like every time or like once a few because for example, you change your data input your text input, which is like the context, then you come back to this benchmark to see if your Genie is still accurate maybe. This is a
Yes.
oh, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do that actually. Yeah.
So basically these are tests and the entry point would be text, for example.
Exactly.
Your text
Exactly.
as in the
But you don't
context.
run benchmarks every day, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
whenever you make any big changes, production, whatever, you want to do make sure that that the ground truth that you're given are not actually compromised by anything else. Yeah,
Perfect. Huh?
it's gonna take a bit,
I
but we
like where
can.
this is going.
Yeah. It's a pretty good product. And you can see the evaluations here. It's gonna say 1 out of 1 because again, it's gonna take
It's
things
one. Yeah.
very in a not a very comprehensive way. Just gonna say if you have 10 questions, if 9 out of 10 were good or compared. So this is where I think it uses like LLM as a judge in the behind,
Oh,
where
okay.
it judges like how good the SQL generated from a ground truth,
Yeah, yeah,
and then it
because
says yeah, this is good or bad.
makes sense because it's gonna generate SQL, but it's not gonna be exactly the same. So it
Yep,
needs another text-to-text comparison to understand the text itself. It's gonna be an
exactly,
LLM, for example.
exactly.
Makes
So
sense.
this is actually finishes the benchmark tab here, which pretty much like um, that's everything you can do from benchmark. We can check in on it later. The last thing I guess here we have is the monitoring, and this is where you see all the queries that you've done. So all the questions you
Okay.
ask, if there was any ratings, good, bad, or whatever, if you provided any comments for feedback, if you requested somebody to check on them, because again, this is for analysts, right? Or
Ooh,
mainly,
okay.
yeah, towards analysts. So if you go back maybe to the Genie Space and ask a question, then you can actually say request for review. So
Request
you can somebody,
yeah.
yeah, or here maybe itself. You can say, all right,
Yeah, the
request for
yeah,
review.
perfect.
So you request somebody for the space manager to take a look at it and then to review the output that comes out of it to make sure it actually produces a good answer.
This is good actually, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Makes sense actually.
It provides like that sense of I'm doing well if I'm not doing well in certain questions. So it provides like more feedback for people to go back and check on them. What else? Did we miss anything? Yeah, this is the last tab here. It has a title page, has a description, a space ID, and so on and so forth, and then maybe sample questions. So these are the questions that comes up when in the beginning of the page. If you want to add any sample questions that to start the new chat of the window, this is
Mhm.
where you add them. You can add tags as well because it's again it's a Databricks asset, and then you can change the default warehouse to anything that you have to make sure it falls under the right warehouse or whatever it sets.
So for me,
Yeah.
this is good. My question would be, let's say you have users outside of Databricks. Can you call Genie from outside, or at least uh, can you call Genie from somewhere else, even within Databricks, for example?
Yeah. So I believe recently Databricks introduced Databricks One. This is where you can
Okay,
interface Genie with the outside world and pretty much like add a more, I would say like
user
friendly,
friendly. Yeah.
yeah, friendly like way of interacting with it. However, and also like there's a way to interact with Genie with an API, and this is where the Genie Space ID comes. So this is where the Space ID here
Okay,
you can use
makes
it to
sense.
to run the API to pretty much ask questions to Genie, get a response, and so on and so forth using the API that they provide.
But for now, if you want to build a Genie agent, a Genie space, and you want to put this into production, you would actually do through clicks, for example, right? Still for now,
Yeah.
still through clicks.
To create it, yes. For the time being, I guess by the time we're talking, I don't know if any way we can create it with like infrastructure as code, but
Okay.
I think that might be later to be able to be created by
Perfect.
infrastructure as code. Maybe let's check back on the benchmark, see if it's done. Yeah, it's gonna take a while because of the warehouse
Can you
is quite
click
small.
on the evaluation name just to
Yeah.
see? Okay, we already showed this.
Yeah, still
Okay, perfect.
generating an answer. So it's gonna check and it's gonna assess. See, 0 of 1 is assessed, but it's gonna check. Yeah, the accuracy is 100% or something like that. So or 1 out of 1. Yeah,
Perfect. Makes total
cool.
sense. But I think this would give us also the material to go to the agents, since I feel like Genie would be the master and or the person that knows about your data. Then an agent would ask it, for example, some
Yeah,
questions.
absolutely, absolutely. One thing as well you can do is attach it to a dashboard. I was just playing with
Okay.
this. Let's say you have this dashboard. We want to just publish it really quick. Let's publish it for now. Yeah, it's for me sharing. Let's take a look at it here. I just made a very simple dashboard that has the review texts. However, I can actually attach Genie spaces to it.
Oh, does this
Mm,
mean you can ask questions directly within a dashboard?
yes.
Nice.
So once you go edit your dashboard, you click on settings, then you go to general, then you can basically add languages and so on and so forth for it. And you click on, usually I think Genie is disabled, but you enable it to connect on it. But this will show you that you can either auto generate a Genie space. However, we have our own, so we can technically just go provide like the Genie ID. Did I
Genie
copy it?
ID. Okay.
I didn't copy it. We go back to the Genie space, go back to the settings, copy the space ID, come here and provide this. And I think that's it. So switch
Maybe
this off.
publish.
Yep, like this, and then we publish. We publish again. All right. We click on the live dashboard, and then you see this new button right comes up here
Nice.
to ask Genie in the right space, and then you can
Maybe
basically
the
ask
reviews
about the
question.
questions. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can basically say,
What was the question? What is the wait
Average.
experience in average rating of big houses in Tokyo?
Average rating
Of big house in Tokyo.
for Tokyo bytes.
Oh yeah, Tokyo bytes exactly. Same question should give us 2 point something.
kilobytes. I'm not gonna provide the
ID,
franchise
whatever.
ID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So understand the question, find the data, step-by-step plan to calculate the answer, running the calculations, pretty much calculate by its interception franchise name,
Nice.
finds it. It's gonna look at it. So it goes, finds it in the franchise. All right, it showed us something else now. But let's take a look. Let's take a look why. So here, because it was trying to find the franchise ID for in
From the
transaction.
product.
Yeah, in
But from the
transaction.
product.
From the product. Yeah. And that's why. And that's why. But now we can give it feedback and say fix it and say Tokyo Bytes is actually a franchise. And let's take a look. How will it fix itself? So now it fixes itself. Reviews and franchises. We're looking for average rating for Tokyo. Working
Nice.
2.92. So this is exactly what we
Perfect.
got. In
Is this
the
correct?
previous
Yes. Give it some good feedback.
Good job. Yeah, and then it's gonna go learning. It's gonna learn. It's gonna understand, and so on and so forth.
I think the learning is for the LLM and the benchmark is for you if you wanna run benchmarks, if I understand.
Exactly.
Okay. Do
So
we
yeah,
have
that was yeah.
just
Sorry.
one last question? Do we have a say on which LLM is being used by Genie or no?
This is unfortunately one of the drawbacks because what Genie does is actually uses OpenAI on the backend. So
Okay.
whenever you ask it any questions, it's going to take all the metadata, all the data, all the instructions, and so on, and it's going to throw an LLM call
Okay.
to OpenAI to
OpenAI.
generate the SQL. Yeah,
But from this, I do understand that doesn't send the data itself. I think it only sends the metadata and the benchmarks, for example,
of course.
then gets some sort of text to SQL answer, then runs it on your data.
Yep,
Makes
it
sense.
only sends the metadata, the description of columns, the columns, and all that stuff, and then it's gonna produce a SQL because this is the output of the LLM, and then which we saw here, right? This is the output of the LLM. So the LLM produces this, and then once it does produce this, it's gonna send it to Databricks. Databricks is gonna run it to the SQL. So Databricks will is the only one where the data, your data, actually sits. So the data is not gonna move anywhere. It's only the description of the columns. It's only the metadata that will be sent to the OpenAI.
Makes sense. I think that's it for me. I did actually learn a lot about Genie today. I'm very excited to integrate it with agents actually also.
So thank you, Abdullah, for giving me the time to walk through Genie and its features. I've been experimenting with it a lot recently, trying to push the limits of it. As you saw, there's a bit of drawbacks. It's a new product Databricks is trying to fix as well and push and increase the features. But however, there's a lot of value that we've currently been seeing with clients that they can find like a quick wins actually with this feature.
Definitely.
Yeah, hope you found this helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be pushing this product into my clients from day one because
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
gonna
like
save a lot of
it's
time.
it's
Yeah,
it's an easy quick win for clients, for business analysts who want to ask questions but don't have the SQL knowledge to do it. So I think Genie
agree.
would help them too, and also I think it's also a shared knowledge for all the business analysts. As we can see, if you ask a question, you can benchmark it, then other analysts can come and use your question. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. Sounds good. Well, thank you for the time, and we'll catch you
All
guys
right.
in the next one.
Thank you. To the next one.